Are you struggling to create formulas in Microsoft Excel? Understanding cell references is key to saving time building and reviewing formulas in Excel. In Microsoft Excel, a cell reference is how you refer to the cell address or location. In its simplest expression, a cell address is just the label for the location, such as A1, which is the intersection of column A and row 1. But understanding your options for Excel cell references is critical to the accuracy and success of your calculations. When creating formulas, you may work with more than one type of cell reference. In Excel, there are 4 types of cell references. Relative, which means that the reference is relative to the location of the formula, and so it will shift or adjust based upon where the formula may be either moved or copied. An absolute reference is what I call the Excel GPS. It is an exact location within a formula to tell it to absolutely go to that location to find a value to use in the formula. Mixed references are simply a combination of relative and absolute references. And circular references, you don't want them. They're very bad, and they indicate that there is a problem in the formula logic. With relative references, the default structure of a formula is that the cell references automatically adjust when you copy a formula from one cell to another. This behavior in Excel cell references is why formulas update and adjust when you copy or move formulas. So for instance, if I create a total for this column, let's say I simply want to do a sum. I'll use my handy keyboard shortcut, All Equals, confirm that that is the correct range. So notice right now that this is a sum of B5 through B9. Now I'll copy this across, and using my fill handle, I have copied it across to the other columns. Now, I'll make a couple adjustments here to the column width simply so that doesn't bother me or you as you look at these. Let's see what happened. The original formula was B5 through B9. As it was copied across in this location, it's D5 through D9. So the internal references have adjusted relative to their location in the worksheet. That is the default behavior and why formulas work so effectively in Excel. Here's another way for us to review these formulas. In our Formulas tab, we'll simply enable Show Formulas. And now we can see as well the logic that was copied across. Additionally, if we review our totals, we also have relative references for each one of these formulas, that it was only needed to be created one time and then copied down. We'll go ahead and turn off that Show Formulas. In Excel, we use absolute references when we don't want the cell references to change when a formula is copied. And so for this, we need to designate one or more values to be constant. Absolute references are commonly used when we want to refer to a constant value in a worksheet, such as an interest rate or labor cost or projection percentage. An absolute cell reference says absolutely or always use this value regardless of the location of the formula. So it's an exact destination or GPS regardless of your starting location. So let's look at how an absolute reference could help us when calculating this commission rate. What we'll do is take the total and multiply it by that rate. Start with equals. Here's the total. Multiply, asterisk, and we move to that rate. First, I'm going to do this as a relative reference so you can see why this won't be a good solution. So far, so good. But if I copy it down as a relative reference, now we can see where we have some problems, because if we look at the formula, the logic has adjusted based upon the location of the formula. So now it's not referring to that value at all. It's simply saying it's equal to what's to the left times, and it just goes up so many cells. If you're not familiar with absolute references, then you might be spending a lot of time building each one of these formulas individually, and that's not necessary. Let's look at how we can do this much easier with absolute references. So now I'm back here for the first formula, equals total times commission rate. But before we finish this formula, now I'll press F4, the F4 function key. Notice what happens. $F, $2. The $ is what makes it absolute. So it's saying always go to cell F2. Now, if we press F4 again, we get what we call a mixed reference. I'll show you more about that in a moment. But this means that only, in this example, would the row be absolute. I hit it again, only the column would be absolute. And F4 again, and now we're back to a relative reference. So it's most common that we see it this way. Now you don't have to use the F4 function key. It's simply a little easier than typing the dollar signs in manually. I think we're going to have a better solution now. If we then copy this down, here we now have the correct calculation of the commission. And notice as I edit this formula that we can see that it's referring to that absolute reference or that commission rate. So we're on the right track in terms of solving this. Oh, and by the way, if this just simply bothers you, that by copying this down, we lost our formatting. Well, this is where the Format Painter can be helpful for us. To learn more about the Format Painter in Excel and other Office applications, check out the link above, as well as in the description of this video. So I'll move to a cell here. This is just a bonus tip, and this contains the formatting that I want to utilize in that other cell. Now in my Home tab of the ribbon, here's my handy dandy Format Painter brush. Click it once, and I want to paint that formatting to this cell, and you could certainly select more than one cell. There we go. So we got that looking really nice. What about mixed references? This is a little bit more specialized situation. Imagine that you have perhaps an interest rate that varies from day to day, or maybe there is a factor that applies to various categories or rows on the left-hand side. So in this example here, if I open up that cell, we can see an example of a mixed reference where it's simply referring to $B. So go to column B, but the row is relative. It will adjust as the formula is copied down. We have another mixed reference for the other part of the formula. Here, the column will vary because we're going to copy it across. However, we want it to continue to look in row 3 to find that value. When these formulas are copied down and across, we then are able to work with mixed references where it's always looking in row 3 for the values and always looking in column B for the values. So hopefully it gives you an understanding of where we might have mixed references or how these could apply in your Excel projects. And finally, let's talk about that cell reference that we don't want to have, and that is a circular reference. A circular reference occurs when a cell in an Excel worksheet refers to itself directly or indirectly. So when you open up a worksheet that has a circular reference or a circular reference is created, what will happen is that a circular reference warning displays. So the first thing to know is that you need to stop and fix it. Help isn't going to be very helpful, unfortunately. It gives you a general explanation of the idea, but doesn't really tell you what to do or where to fix it. And if you simply click OK, well, then you could go about your work on that worksheet, but you haven't fixed it. And this is what commonly happens. I will OK. So how do we figure out where we have one or more circular references? First of all, because we had that error message, and because we do have at least one formula with a circular reference, notice in the status bar this message about circular references. This gives us a little bit of a clue because it's not telling us where it is. So that means it's either in another workbook or in another worksheet in this workbook. The reason why we need to fix it is that, first of all, your data is incorrect and can lead to bad decisions. That is, typically the result of a formula with a circular reference is that we get a 0. So we can be making decisions that are based upon faulty data. But because a lot of people don't understand circular references, they just click through the warning and just keep moving forward. How can we fix them? If we don't get a clue from the status bar, let's go to the Formulas tab and move to the right-hand side in the Formula Auditing group. Here is Error Checking. If there is one or more circular reference, you will see that this is not grayed out here, circular references. So this is telling us where we have a problem for a circular reference. And we can then move to this. Now, it may be that you have more than one. In this case, we just have the one. And so it takes us right to the problem. You can tell here we do not have a correct total, and this is an easy fix. Some circular references might require some more effort to work through the logic, figure out where the problem is. But remember, it's because we have a cell where somehow we're directly or indirectly referring back to itself. So let's look at this one. In this case, you might easily spot the problem. We're in H9 and it's referring to itself in the sum of the range. And so we need to fix this or remove that reference to H9. We can either edit the formula. In this case, we also have an error message. And by clicking on this, it will tell me what one solution would be to copy the formula from above. And that's a good fix because it recognizes an inconsistent formula. Most circular references aren't this easy to fix, but hopefully this gives you a sense of what they are and also, more importantly, why you need to fix them. Understanding the different types of cell references and formulas is one of the keys to accurate results and success in Microsoft Excel. To learn more ways to be productive with Microsoft Excel or to join my free tips newsletter, visit thesoftwarepro.com/Excel. If this training was helpful, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for other time-saving software tips. Thanks for watching.